Hello, tribals. Welcome to the podcast where we magnify the process and impact of the youth in the world using their own stories. I am the homegirl, also known as Liz Awino, and thank you for joining me, or rather us in this context, for a new episode. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you found us, however it is you found us. And if you're a returning tribe member, what's up? How are you doing? Happy New Year officially from me and my guest. And we are back at the heart of the podcast, and that is our guest features. By the title, you know it's about to go down. This is our first guest episode of the season, and we are starting off extremely strong. Today, we are with someone whose work takes him from the forest to the oceans, from wildlife on land to life beneath the waves, turning observation into impact. And that is none other than Anthony Ochieng, a conservation photographer, wildlife ecologist, ocean explorer, and visual storyteller who uses a camera not just to capture beauty, but to spark conversation about climate and conversation. Welcome to the It Tribe, Anthony.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Just looking forward to sharing more about what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was reading this out and when I first reached out to you, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like I can barely swim, right? I
Yeah.
can I can try to stay afloat, like I can try not to drown. But there are certain like depths of pools that I don't go into because I know there's no way I'm trying to get myself up. So when I saw that one, you're a black person and you do all of these things and there's like a clear cutting intersection where there's photography, there's environmental championship and conservation, and then there's wildlife, and then there's the ocean, emphasis on the ocean. I was like, wow, I've not seen, maybe because that's not my focus particularly, but I've not come across someone on my feed just pop up and that's what they do. So how would you say that has impacted you, and how does that affect your day-to-day lives?
I have to say it has both ways. It has a happy part and it has a fear component put into it together. But I think it needs the purpose and the why I do what I do because I have a background in wildlife ecology, and one of the things I love doing most is education programs for teaching people about conservation issues. And photography was a tool to use that to be able to educate people about the same. Uh, but then one of the things that I noticed that as much as I'll talk about land, the ocean was off. So I felt I have to push myself to the limits, break boundaries to be able to also do underwater stuff so that I can show people that the land and the ocean are all interconnected. Our actions on land interfere with the ecosystem on the sea, and at the end of the day, affect the day-to-day life that we live. So yeah, it's scary. Sometimes it's beautiful, but that's like a purpose you have to choose. About being unique in a way is I think is because when you're driven with a purpose, you have to step out uh, from the social club, like the social society, and then look at things differently. There's a trend going round about the penguin that decided to walk towards the mountain and not
Yeah.
follow towards the sea. So at some point in my life, I had to face the mountain and figure it out by myself. Like, what do I really want to do as a person, not somebody attached to an organization or an entity, but what is my role in society at the end of the day? And I felt this was a better way to explore my passion, which is photography, and my day-to-day work and lifetime commitment, which is wildlife conservation, into one impactful lifestyle to live on. Yeah, and I have to say it has given me more purpose to life than anything else till today. The last 8 years have been more of learning who I am, but at the same time inspiring myself and others who are around me.
I love that. 8 years is a really long time, actually, for you to refine. Not long, actually. Because if you think of discovering purpose and then you have like a lifetime of learning and unlearning and discovering stuff, 8 years is like 1 year, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like we literally just jumped all the way straight into it. But and then this happens a lot, actually. This happens a lot where I have a script, I've been given a script, and I ask one question and then we just go off the script. But one of the things I wanted to ask is when you first started out, what is something like when you decided that this is what I want to do? I want to focus on climate, I want to focus on conservation. How did you come about that before you found your purpose? Because I think one of the things about purpose is I always tell people you don't just wake up in the morning and you say, this is what I found. You have to live life a little bit more for you to know that this is exactly what I want, or this is what I want to pursue, rather.
I have to start by saying that I'm privileged, and privilege can vary from one person to another.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you look at privilege differently. When I was young, I went to a school that allowed me to access parks. So we'll have park trips. And at that time, we had the seven subjects, that is art and craft and home science and the rest, before they were removed by the government. And I was more on the art side,
Mm-hmm.
which was the more powerful part of my life. But then wildlife became much more close. I can remember we were doing a trip to Nairobi, and when we came back, we will actually draw the lions on paper. So I was more of an artistic person, but this was cut short when the government decided to uh, remove the skills-based subjects to remain with technical subjects, maths, mathematics, and Swahili and the rest. So that shifted my gears back into science conservation. But then during my life work as a scientist or supporting science conservation across the ecosystem is one thing that kept on pushing. Uh, like what what is my role in all this in all this society? And I felt uh, I needed to be an educator because when you go back home, you see like mama mocha just throwing litter away and stuff. And I was asking them, so why did I go to society? What I started while the people I still don't do probably the right thing. So I decided to drop what I was doing at that time and then went into a photography class. And that is how all this started. But I had already envisioned what I wanted, I think by end of high school. And I think that is more of a privilege than like fate.
I don't like to share my thoughts on education because I always feel like it's very counter. Because I'm always like, people should go to school, we must all study, we must all learn, and all of those things. But then at the same time, I always feel like the learning that we're doing is not preparation for the real world. It doesn't reflect what happens on the ground or in actual environments and in actual systems. So I think I wrote an article where I said I'm not a champion for education is the key. I'm the champion for knowledge is the key. And that would lead me to now my first question, which is what was it like growing up? What were your interests and how do you see it has played a part in who you are today as Anthony?
So my growing up was in different, I'll say different ecosystems, both cities and also the village. One of the things I can attribute this to is that there's always the clubs that they are there in school that are focused on environmental stuff. I always found myself in those clubs, but not any other club. So either it's a wildlife club, either it's a environmental club. And at some point in my younger part of life, I was a prefect of the environment in school. And these are things that were driving me towards becoming the person I am today. I didn't necessarily know that, but I'm really happy that when I was doing this, it was becoming more evident. And then I continuously chose, like I was very intentional. I chose where I worked. Like I looked for work drive me to this. So even if I got a job from a different and I'll probably not take it. If I told you I went to Strasbourg, did CPAs, like nobody will agree with that. But I went to a business school at some point in my life. But I
Mm-hmm.
had to choose. I had to choose wildlife because that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be more in nature, more uh, in the ecosystem that we are. But as I said, education, education is very knowledge is actually way much more important. So felt my need of going back to learn and understand was like a basic for me to be able to explore to what extent can I use my knowledge to be able to support the passion that I do. And also vis-a-vis like and also related to what society thinks. You know, we live in a society. At the beginning when you stood up somewhere you are living your to fight photographer, a photographer of bird, they'll be like, are you for real? Are you okay? And those are the
Yeah.
comments I got at the beginning. But I had to show value that was more of a purpose driven than just a career path that I was taking up to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my journey has been one of very, very being intentional, but also attributing it to the people that have been around me over the time until today, like just guiding me on those particular parts. Because at the end of the day, I'm part of a society, I'm part of a community that plays a very key important role on the work that I do today. Yeah.
I think that's interesting because you said you went to a business school and you did CPA in accounting.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that don't know accounting is so hard. I did accounting and I didn't pass. And that was when I said good riddance to it because I knew I didn't like it. So me failing was actually, okay, cool. Like I know this was coming. So I can't imagine. Because did you finish the actual accounting course?
No, I didn't finish. Casneb was not that friendly to me. Yeah, so I did what? It was nice meeting you. I'm gonna do something else. But yeah, uh, but to be honest, I love to be very, very honest about it. What I picked up during that particular time, I was doing the CPAs, has come really, really important right now when I'm managing my own organization, doing my own business. It actually helps. So these
Mm-hmm.
skill sets that we along the way play a very key important role on who we become. So if given a chance right now to go back to Strathmore, I'll probably do it, but I'll do it with intention. Because at that time
Yeah.
we were doing it was your parent was like, go there and you go to do Bachelor of Commerce, then you become like an accountant in the bank. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. But that's what I'm saying. I'm privileged enough that I had a father who would have these conversations with at that particular age that I was in and will able to give me room to make a decision that this is what I want to do it. And that is a privilege that I think most or some Kenyans at my age never had that particular privilege to just have these conversations with their guardians or their parents. And and as much as I switched to wildlife from doing accounting, uh, it just shows that a career path is not blended in just one way. Because I
Mhm.
did accounting, did wildlife, did photography and filming. Now I'm just doing mostly communication across conservation ecosystems. But then they are like building blocks to who you become. So for any younger person listening or wants to learn how, it's that whatever you're doing right now is actually important. You might not know how important it is, but later in like 10 years, you'll be like, I actually did this. I remember how it was being done. And this is how I can actually apply it. So don't go
Mhm.
to pass exams. Go to school to be able to get the knowledge and apply it where it's supposed to be used. I think that is the notion for me for education. Yeah.
If I could print that out and just put it in every single classroom in the whole of Kenya first, so that people know that you don't go to school for a career path, you go to school for the knowledge and then you get to decide how you want to use the knowledge. I think it's something that I feel should be drilled in everybody's mind, because I think for me, chasing a career was something that I did for so long that I'm like, maybe if I try this much, I'll get this fine, then I'll get this. And then you finish school and then you realize that, wow, I've been chasing something that doesn't exist this whole time. And for some people, it's an institution or like a system that works for them. Because I think I have siblings that I don't think they could ever imagine being in positions where I am today, where you have to think of how you're going to survive. It's basically like fight or flight all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Even to tie it back to the like the building blocks that you're talking about, you obviously mentioned the fact that you're privileged. And the question I wanted to find out was, what was going through your mind in those moments where you didn't know how this was going to turn out, but you still have to take a chance. But at the same time, everybody's doing this, because obviously, as you're talking, I can kind of gauge along which time you were growing up. So that means that everybody at that time was more respected because they did accounting, or they were a lawyer, or they were a doctor, and all of those things. Still, there are still people and communities that believe this is the height of adulting and you've made it if you're this. But how did you navigate being able to make a choice of what you want to do in a society where you're marked as serious when you do certain occupations? Because it's not even a career, it's an occupation. It's I'm a doctor, I'm this, I'm that. I don't know. I think we even need to talk about occupations versus careers, because I think we've started to mix things, and it's just, why are we doing that?
Yeah. I could imagine. Yeah. So, where do I start? I think again, it's all about being intentional. One of the things I remember doing when I was just after campus is I drew up a vision dream board. At that time, there
Wow.
was no Canva, there was no Pinterest and stuff. But I got it from a session I went to. At some point in my search for work, I found myself in a space where I was almost being hired as an insurance broker. And these guys are talking about this vision dream board. I was like, what is this vision dream board?
Mm-hmm.
I went down and developed one just after campus. And I wrote it down very, very clearly. This is what I want to do in the next 20 years. I still
Mm-hmm.
have the Microsoft PowerPoint, the old version of it uh, with the templates. Uh, And I look at it sometimes like, wow, pretty much have achieved so much from that particular document. But it
Mm-hmm.
became like a guiding document for me. And that's when I see people making vision dream boards right now, I'm like, yes, that's the way to. But back to this vision dream board. This vision dream board had very, very specific aspect of, that for me was to have a legacy that wildlife conservation is, it's not just a tourism product, but we also want younger people to access. But I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how it's going to play. So I kept on working this vision dream board, ensuring that I intentionally choose things that will fit it into my dream board.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up in a place where I got like a serious burnout at work on the things that I love doing most. So you can imagine doing an 8 to 5 job. The things
Mm-hmm.
you love doing no longer become beautiful. You feel depressed. You start asking yourself questions like, okay, why did I go to school? Why? Like, why are we working so hard to conserve these ecosystems? But there's another group of people who care that they actually exist. So, so meaning we're communicating to the converted already, but there's another group of people that have been left that do not even have an insight of what exactly environmental issues are. And that's where being an educator became a very key important component in my career path. But then how do I do it? I do it through photography. Photography is a tool that adds people from uh, different classes, different race. Like it does not have any definition of who it can actually reach. It can reach a younger person, older person. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
this is a proper to actually be able to uh, to to use. The vision dream board was made at any particular point. So uh, even if I crashed by technically being broke, heartbroken, or not finding a solution, I used to run back to that vision dream and ask myself, okay, what's my purpose? What's the legacy I want to leave behind? And it actually guided me until today. And I have to be honest, it's not easy as seem to say it, but
Mm-hmm.
I had to step out from society. So I can remember I had to downgrade my lifestyle. Like I used to stay in a 2-bedroom house, went to no house, the back, behind my back, just moving from one
What?
point to another. Yes.
You
like
said it so
I had to,
casually, like, because I was waiting for you to say, "Oh, I went from 2 bedrooms to a bed sitter house, or like a small like SQ, no house."
no house. I was moving around. So then I was living I would go back to Shags, stay with my dad, or go to my aunt, stay with my dad. And then like about 2 years, just moving around. But all I had on me was a camera, my laptop. And I can remember my first assignment was in Uganda. And I went to Uganda for like one week. And that's where it's the changing. These guys were like, you know what, just come back for 6 months. After six
Mm-hmm.
months, I went to Uganda, shot in Uganda for like 6 months, then came back. And then now that's when I started now settling down again. Now reminding myself again, okay, as much as you love this, you have to fit into another society. But what I did is I removed myself from what society wants to see,
Mm-hmm.
except that I really want to achieve this. But if I put society in front of me, there are things I will not do
Mm-hmm.
because at that particular time, either my peers were either getting married, they're buying cars, they're having a good 8 to 5 job. I had no name to back up my justification. So my thinking was, I am going to go back like someone who's just left campus. I have no idea what society is all about. I'll start from scratch, and that is what helped me to overcome uh, what society will have put forward to me. But then right now is the time now I'm coming back to society slowly, like have a house, you buy a land. Like I wasn't living quote unquote the Kenyan dream. Get a job,
Mm-hmm.
marry, buy a piece of land. Like I stopped thinking about that dream, but then put forward what legacy will I want to leave behind. And that is what drove my need to continue growing and continue improving and beating the odds of either financial difficulty or even emotionally difficulty, because it comes with a mental breakdown that sometimes needs a lot of uh, a lot of healing. And I have to say photography became a very powerful healing tool for me and nature
Mm-hmm.
combined, because that is what, like, when everyone was making noise uh, that you left work to become a photographer. How will you take care of your family? How will you take care of your own bills? Do you think you'll earn? Is that even really work? So it beat logic, but then the camera became a place for peace for me and nature. And if I tell you how I got my camera, it's my savings for my pension saving for 5 years. So I removed my pension, bought one camera. So these are things that we don't necessarily talk about them, but they're things that I say that I went through them. And I call them like the privileges of experience that I went through that make me who I am and define the kind of work that I do. Yeah. And I think for me is the journey of, and it's still going on. Like it has not stopped. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's still to achieve moving forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's what I did in summary is that I looked at society from a different mirror, and I looked at myself from a different mirror, and I was like, you know what? I know this society mirror exists, and I will not forget it exists. But if at the moment I just want to face myself on my own mirror, and I figure out who I am, what I want, how I want to do it, and then I'll fit myself back to that society at a particular point. So that is how I had to maneuver that particular space. And it's not easy for everyone. And I totally accept and acknowledge. That is why I say I'm privileged enough to be able to handle such energy and stress that comes along with making decisions of leaving your 8 to 5 job to focusing on a career that you have no idea where it will take you to, but it's just your passion. Yeah.
I feel like I could end this podcast here and tell everyone to go home because a huge part of 2025, because this season is basically looking at 2025, and then you understand how things happened and how you're going to try and have intentional ways of living so that you rise above the water. Because I think a huge part of 2025 was sink or swim. So from the beginning, I always tell people the moment Trump decided to open his mouth and speak, everything just went south. And being able to just hear someone say that choosing an unconventional path is insane, but it's rewarding at the same time. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen the way we always imagine it. And I think I was listening to a conversation with a podcast that I listened to called I Said What I Said, and they were talking about how their perceptions of what success looks like is so warped because we have this American dream in the Kenyan dream, like you said, where the American dream is, you can leave your job, you can quit school, you can drop out, and you will still make it, you make billions of dollars. And the Kenyan dream is you go to school, you finish school, you pass, you go to university, you take the course, you finish, you pass, and then you get into a job, you make your small monies, and then you get a small little car, and then you rent a house, and then you get married, and then you finished your life. You start having a ball, and then you save for retirement, and then you retire. But stepping out of that means you're stepping out of a culture that has been there and will always be there. And the thing that I wanted to ask is, what influence did you have at that time? Because I make decisions that I make because I look at certain people and I'm like, they're insane, so I can be insane, right? I know it's funny, but when I look at people that have stepped outside of the quote unquote normal way of living or the direct path of being successful, I always say that I may not have everything figured out, but there's someone that's insane, that is older, and that is like, has sort of made it, and they've not died. So I will also not die. So at that time, what exactly was your source of influence? Like, what was in your mind, and who was feeding your mind essentially towards making such decisions? Because I don't think you can just backpack for 6 years without a support system. It may not be like, okay, everyone is supporting you, but there has to be like a couple of people that were like, I don't know what you're doing, but I believe in what you're doing.
I'll say that having a parent who will be very honest with you. My dad will tell me is that, Tony, you can achieve anything, but you need 3 things. You need to plan, put some self-discipline at it, and just work smart. So, and this self-discipline became a more key important part when it was coming to doing what I was doing. I think my dad really planted that at an earlier age. So when you say you're gonna learn how to do photography, it becomes part and parcel of you. You put your effort there. You put your self-discipline. You show up on photography classes. You show up in photography meetups. And at that time, I was still a scientist, but then joined the Photographers Association of Kenya, where I met another community of photographers from different walks, and I continuously learned and learned. Uh, And I think those are the ones that are giving me the strength, just seeing other people in the same space who are trying to pursue this passion. And then I felt another international community where it's called International League of Conservation Photographers. It's a very unique one. Uh, and at that time, if I looked across the continent of Africa, I couldn't pinpoint who is a Black African conservation photographer. Like somebody like me, where like I was trying to someone who does, they're photographers, yes, but who are specialized in observation stories. And that was the realization that is a gap I need to pick. And I just combined it with my background and I was like, yes, I'm going to focus on this. But it is based on learning from what my dad made a part of our lives until today, and also seeing other stories of other people of their past. I can remember that I got a chance to be a scholar for the Jackson White Film Festival in Wyoming and in Jackson Hole. So and I met one of the photographers from I think South America. We're not sure about it, but when we spoke about this particular area that I am, they had the same problems. Equipment is expensive. Access to taking the stories is not easy. It takes time. It denies you your social life. I was like, okay, if someone from the western parts of the world is experiencing the same things I'm experiencing in the African continent, then it's playing for all of us. But then in terms of equipment, they can able to hire. Us, we can't able to hire. You have to just buy your own equipment. If you want to hire, it's pretty much expensive, or you'll always be struggling to pay back this particular. Or you'll be doing business, but paying the person who hires you the camera. But then the advantage that I took forward was, one, I have the background. Two, I'm in the African continent where wildlife thrives. So why did I take the advantage of being a local to be able to tell conservation stories from within? And that kept on driving my energy to be able to continuously push. And the fact that it wasn't clear, but after 2 3 years, people started seeing that particular effort, the journey, and it inspired many other more people. So to keep going, for me, it's people that I inspire who are always part and parcel of this particular journey. Yeah. And when you look at magazines right now, I'm happy I can find African photographers listed. I can find them. But 10 years ago, you'll probably someone or even none, even just one. So those are things that I wanted to be part of that particular change. But you see, when you're doing that change, you have to step back from society at some point. Yeah.
I think one key thing that I've heard you mention from the beginning of this podcast is how important your dad was in your journey. And I think
Yeah.
there's another podcast episode that I did with Jesu Thomason, where he also mentioned how important his dad was when it came to his writing and his ability to just exercise and practice the skills that he had from a very young age. And I want to find out how, now that you're on the other side of the coin, where you have done the work to build essentially a system where Africans can believe they should be the holders of the narrative that is said. They should be the ones that dictate what narrative should be said. Where do you think we are based off of when you started? And are we far away from what you envisioned right now?
Uh, I have to say we are on that particular path, and more more voices are being heard across the ecosystem, especially in the conservation space, and thanks to other players within the African continent. Uh, I'm either part of a community that has African storytellers. I've seen photography competitions run by Africans that are thriving, that we participate on and push for them. But it's not about just being African. It's about it's about inspiring everyone else across the globe and giving face that people within the African continent have stories that they can tell in their own perspective. And that was like in the past, it was mostly either a photographer from out of the country will come and do a story and then head out. But then for right now, there's so many photographers that I can refer to who are doing an amazing work across different parts of Africa, different countries, and thanks to institutions like NEWF, Nature Environmental Wildlife Filmmakers, who are really pushing that particular narrative. Thanks to guys like the DocuBox, guys who promote films across the ecosystem, and many others that are not even mentioned. Like I'm not mentioned, but there's so many other people who are thriving to just be able to tell African stories. But then we have to reach different places, different audience. Yeah, through music, art, photography, experiences, because that is what people always take back home. Because I think when I go underwater and dive, I think one of my friends he usually says, "Tony, why are you always going to visit the ancestors? Are they calling you?" And I'm like, "No, it's actually safe to just go dive alone." Because it's
No,
like me
because
and
you're
water.
pushing it. You're pushing your luck
Yeah,
every time you dive. As I said, a black person underwater. Wow.
but there are quite a number of them. That's the beauty about it right now.
Yeah.
And water is just equally as a forest or a desert or a river ecosystem. All you have to do is you have to just respect it. And when you're respecting it, you also have to be safe. So there are always parameters you need to take into consideration. You can't hike a mountain on North Star stickers. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have safe gear. You can't go up Mount Kenya with your t-shirt or your vest. No, you're putting yourself at risk. The same way you won't go underwater without the proper gear and training. And that is all about adventure. It comes out to adventure. So anybody else can access it. It's just a matter of putting it on a mental space that this is as equal as the environment that we are on in land. Yeah, I know. Not everybody will agree with me on that, but water is a very peaceful place. Yeah.
It's a very interesting take. I've never heard of that simply because I fight with water every time I'm inside water. So you painting it as these parameters and these things you're supposed to do, it's kind of like how you do anything and everything in life. It's like cooking, right? Before, I think our forefathers never had stoves and stuff. They used to cook outside or even in the kitchen and stuff that they used to cook in these ways. They used to build the kitchen so it doesn't burn. So everything has to be controlled in a certain way for it to function. And if you go against the way it has been created or the purpose it has been created for, then it means you're intentionally putting yourself at risk. And I
Yes.
like that. Maybe I'll consider being a
You
better swimmer.
just learn how to swim. Get a good coach. Learn how to swim. Face your fears. I think I think fear is one thing that I have learned to be able to really face because every day you always fear something, but just face
Hmm.
it. Yeah. I think the area that I fear mostly is relationships. That when I drew the line, I was like, there I cannot control. But this is a side I can control.
So you can dive in deep water that you don't know where it's going to end and you don't know what you're going to meet in the water, mind you. And it's not like it's a shore. That's literally deep where the sea goes and all of those things go with a
Yeah.
camera. And you say it's peaceful, but a
It is,
relationship is where you draw the line. Do you see how crazy that is?
underwater is beautiful. You don't need to talk to someone. You just enjoy the view. You can talk with science and with your hands. When your gas is over, you can come back up. But you have 1 hour of meditation free. And all you see is these beautiful corals, colors, beautiful fish. If you have a chance, sharks can come and say hi of different types, from hammerhead sharks to
It
nursing
can.
sharks. Yes. And they just come say hi. it's just like you are in Masai Mara where there is wildebeest and lions and the same ecosystem. But I'm not saying that there is no fear. Fear is there, but overcoming that fear and seeing the beauty of the world in that particular perspective and having my camera to share it with everyone is the best thing I can ever be able to be doing. Like I feel sometimes I'm at home, I'm like, I need to be out. I need to be out doing something. I'm like, I need to go out. I need to go to the forest. I need to go either to a desert ecosystem. I need to just be out there shooting so that I can bring those stories back to an audience that will appreciate not only the beauty of the images, but the beauty of the conservation work that is being done. So yeah, so just face your fears, please.
At least I don't have a fear of relationships. At least we have that. 1-1. You know? 1-1. We are
Yeah,
drawn now.
you're
I
drawn
face
now.
my fear. Yeah, I face my fear in something. At the very least, I face my fear in something. But yeah, you mentioned something that's quite interesting, and I said here as well, where you said you take pictures that people can appreciate wildlife and also the nature of conservation. And here
Yeah.
there's a question that says, do you think people today see nature or do we just pass it by? And it's in reference of there's a lot of content and there's a lot of opinions and there's just brain rot. And I think I fear as well that we are losing the awe of things and even photography and just the love of art. Because also when we talk of art, we also have to have conversations about AI and how the intersection of that is literally sipping into everything. So how do you feel about one, how people approach conservation and in from the perspective of photography? And what do you think about AI's infiltration in art?
Oh, that's a big one. I think I'll start with with one that I think uh, is what you do on a day-to-day basis. If you've not seen anything, you can't conserve it, right?
Yes.
If you don't see a black person underwater, you can be like, I can't do that. But if you see a black person underwater, images of sharks, or a scientist working with sharks, or someone working in the forest ecosystem shooting frogs and insects, you'd be like, oh, wow, you actually do that. But images are the ones that bring that closer to people. Not everyone is a forest person or an ocean person or a grassland person, because people who just prefer savanna ecosystems.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but these images come in closer. Just to give a tip on some of the research work we are working on, is
Mm-hmm.
understanding image framing. How does image framing affect people's perception towards conservation? And we are doing that research in the next coming 2 years. But just to understand, are we taking images for a different audience or are we taking it for the Kenyan audience? So the Kenyan
Oh.
audience is much different uh, because for them, when you start doing nature stuff, 5 or 10 years ago, it was mostly attributed to a white man's thing. But right
Mm.
now, when you nature stuff, it has become so absorbed into the ecosystem of Kenyans because Kenyans are outdoor people. Like if you see the running clubs, the biking clubs, the
Yeah.
adventure clubs, they play a very key important role. And I think that has changed on a very, very bigger perspective. And people truly love nature. Kenyans love nature as much as possible. And I think that is what I've come to realize. And I appreciate it. What they probably ask you is, and I think this is a very common question: does it pay you? How do you make you? Those are the questions that every Kenyan wants to always figure out. I'm like, okay, why
Yeah.
are you asking about that? It's a bird. Plays a key important role in the ecosystem. Imagine if that bird disappears and you don't see it anymore. And I use at the beginning of my career, I was using a joke in the Western community. Imagine if all the hens in the Luya community disappeared. There's no hens.
Wow.
Everybody will be devastated. So imagine if there's these birds that actually play a very key important role in the ecosystem, all disappear. Like you wake up in the morning, you don't hear any sound of birds. You don't hear anything.
It's so
Trust me, that
depressed.
ecosystem, yes, it is depressing. So, but then that's when it hits people that, oh, nature actually plays a key important role to our life. Nature
Yeah.
is not a product, or it's not a product just for earning, tourism, or farming, or any economic activity you can get from nature, but it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be conserved for us to be able to sustain our lives today and tomorrow. And I think people see nature as important from a Kenyan
Mm-hmm.
perspective. I'm not sure about the young generation yet because I've not come up to that paper or any research done around them. But with the content that comes out on Instagram, TikTok, and the rest, there is no much about nature um, as the way we grew up. As you grew up, either watching Nat Geo most of the time, but then how do we make TikTok reels or Instagram that will attract younger people into nature? And I think those are things that can be able to get people to get into conservation. So when you see me underwater, it's actually part of the bigger picture. Like, how do I get people to appreciate what nature is? Like, oh, you can actually swim with whale sharks. You can actually do this. It actually starts appreciating and asking those questions.
Yeah.
So when you ask those questions, is when you retain attention of people and you get those particular answers. That you share those answers that people want to know, and it remains forever in their minds.
Yeah.
Like it's like, yeah, I know someone who has images of sharks. So you'd be called like, oh yes, my kid wants to do this, my daughter wants to do this, and we have a reference point, and that is how you keep on changing. So it's just one person with that range of change across sport. Uh, so yes, people are seeing and are noticing how images are important and plays a key important role. When it comes to AI, AI has two parts of it. It has the beauty of it, and also has the danger sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen AI of animals, somebody hugging a lion. Like, it's frustrating, really, because if that is fed to a society for longer, somebody will want to do that,
Yeah.
and that is people in because you can imagine somebody who's never seen a lion before, but they've seen it on AI generated image of a lion jumping and hugging someone.
Mm-hmm.
When they see a lion, they'll be like, "I'm gonna jump and go see it." So AI is beautiful, but there has to be an ethics or an understanding around it on how do we use it to promote conservation issues. Uh, it started all with selfies. I try as much as possible not to take selfies with animals because it pushes other people to do the same. Uh, like, take selfies, and like, I try as much as possible not entertain images that have people's hugging animals and stuff. Leave them in the wild, unless it's your kinabosco at home. Sawa, but just let it be. The society, the world has made them to be free, but then you want to put them in a confinement of you regulating how to do them. So those are things that it comes with ethics. So AI is beautiful for conservation. It helps in other areas. And I'll mention one project that uses AI for conservation issues, like in the Bongo, in Pogo conservation, like in terms of identifying the animal. Even underwater, there is an AI software for identifying the fish. Uh, when you take the camera or the footage and put it on the AI system, it can identify for you the types of fish without you having to necessarily go to the book to look for that. So AI plays a very key important role in ensuring that we learn about nature properly, but it has to come with a limit of the ethos that comes around using AI and tech in the conservation space. So I probably I'm really getting interested into understanding image framing, and also be looking at how AI affects people's perceptions towards wildlife at some point. And it's a paper we are working on at the moment. Yeah.
I found that in research title, or rather the proposal that you guys probably put out, very interesting because I think
Yeah.
what image framing, or rather framing of anything, actually takes an interesting look on what do you see, what exactly were they trying to communicate. So you have to think of it from different angles, and it makes things a lot enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
because I tell people things don't just happen. People don't just take pictures. Videos are not just taken. There's a reason as to why someone pulled out a camera, because even a person that takes a selfie with a lion, or a person that makes a video with them quote unquote hugging a lion. I think one of the things I don't like about AI, and one of my friends tends to say that I'm an anti AI person, and I usually say it's not that I'm anti anything. It's just that I've studied it. So I kind of know how these things work and how the models work. So I think one of the biggest issues that we have now, and I see it in like a lot of wildlife and stuff, is that a lot of educated people think they're dealing they think everyone is educated, and they forget that there's going to be certain demographics and certain groups of people that don't have access to the same luxuries that we have. Like something like having a phone now. Yes, everyone has it because in Kenya there's also the scheme of like you pay per day to have the phone. But still, there's still a demographic of people that don't have a phone, don't know how to use WhatsApp, and don't even know what AI is. And I fear that without um, the ethical use of these tools, we may end up not fully benefiting from what good it can be. Yeah. So I wanted to ask, because there's a question you asked and we both laughed about it, but it's true, where someone asked you, how does it get you paid? Like, how do you pay your bills? And like now I'm doing a project on climate resilience, and we're using photo voice as a tool, photo voice and
Mm-hmm.
social media as a tool for strategic communication to help tell the
Mm-hmm.
stories of the residents of Kibera and Mukuru. So that means that I've been meeting a lot of people that are interested in climate, and these are not people that are like, okay, yes, they're educated, but they are not sitting in privileged seats and privileged conversations. They are literally the people that the government should be listening to, and they are making decisions, but they don't. They make documents and papers that probably 99.9% of the time does not make a huge difference in their lives. So you meet them and you have conversations with them, and I think a lot of them, the question is, okay, you guys are doing all of these things, you're championing for this and this and this, but then how does this benefit me at the end of the day? And it ties back to the question that I'm saying, how does it get you paid? Because essentially we live in a world that runs with money. Money makes the world go round. And there's obviously someone
Yes.
that's listening to this that wants to get into environment conservation or just anything with climate, because that's kind of like quote unquote the big thing now. But then the question is, how does what I have a passion in become something that I can earn a living from?
I think one of the things that I think right now I probably share is that when you come into your passion, please, and again I repeat, please look at it from a business perspective. You can be as passionate as you want. It's beautiful and I love it. But you have to look at it from a business perspective. You have to invest a capital, and a capital can be either your human resource, your time, or even support from financial assistance. But then you have to be consistent. You have to brand yourself first to be able to get to that level where you can make an income out of it. So, for example, for my type of work that I do, is that I get hired by entities to do work for them, and I'm able to charge a premium based on my skill set and my kind of work that I do. But I've also invested back into my equipment. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to look at it from a business perspective. If you're a good musician, how do you make business sense out of it? And when I talk about business here, I don't talk about business that is harming society. No, business that is is not coupled up with too much greed. And that is something that people tend to forget. Progress is all about patience, and steps by steps. You make 1 year, you see your profits, you see your losses. You go to next year, you learn from your losses and profits. You go to next year, you adjust yourself. Slowly you rebrand. You make yourself be seen. You market yourself, because you can't buy a camera and decide to sit in the house and expect me to know you're a photographer. No, you have to go do the work. Like, you have to go invest and travel and be able to take that portfolio and use that portfolio to help you get more work. Most photographers I interact with, they have websites. So if you ask them, where can I see your work? They're like, on Instagram. But Instagram is mixed with personal stuff. I just want to see, I just want to go to a shop where I can see this is your, not mixed with selfies of what you drank the other day, whatever things for. Like, and these are things that we when you're getting into your passion, you have to really look at it from a business perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and that will help you thrive. And then you need to have products that are local.
Mm-hmm.
Always maintain an international feel so
Hmm.
that you can attract clients beyond your local audience.
I like that.
Yeah. So I'm saying it from the point that I've been learning. I have always been learning all this that I'm sharing, and I'm learning out of experience. And even right now, as I'm speaking, it's always about learning and relearning again and trying to figure out how do I continuously do this business, and just make it much more better. So yeah, so those are the things that I will advise. Like, if you're gonna do, for example, it's podcast, how do you monetize it? How do you make it stand out? How do you get someone to support that particular process? What are the models that have worked in business before? Uh, it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost of time, equipment, editing, making the thumbnails, putting it out there, sponsoring it requires money. But then how do you convert that into an income? And one of the things I actually learned is that if you're going to do a passion, it's income. Do something, even if you do not love how to do it, but just do it with the main goal that at the end of the day, your passion will always pay off. So like I want to learn how to bake. I've gone to school, but I want to open a bakery straight ahead. No, go and learn, go hang out with people who bake with day-to-day basis for like a year or so. They'll pay you minimum or less they can pay. But then once you pick up the skills, know the business models, now you can able now to face the world and start your own. So use those different platforms to learn. Always keep learning as time goes by. I think that's where I'll put it in terms of creative industry perspective. And then change and grow very fast. Don't be too rigid. I know sometimes we get so rigid. I'm one of them. There are things that I'm like, you need to achieve what we are doing. But because I had to, like, how do you put it? I had to get a specialty. If you notice, I don't call myself a filmmaker, but I make films. I produce films,
Mm-hmm.
but I call myself a conservation photographer because that is the brand, or that is what I want people to know me for. And I want people to buy that for. So you realize that people pay more of my photography than even the film part.
I like that.
So you have to specialize on one, but then use these others as a pillar to be able to go out. Yeah.
Hmm. That makes me feel better about my life.
No, it's always about one of my colleagues that we work with on Tony Wild Foundation always says, Tony, if it's yours, it's yours. If it's not, just let it go. And I think that
Yeah,
is the
fact.
mantra we move. Yeah. And it totally gives us peace of mind. We don't push, we don't fight, we don't feel bad for anyone. When someone wins, we celebrate with them. And it becomes so peaceful because you go back, You go to bed a happy person, you wake up looking at the next day with so much joy, and you have so much planned to do. And work just comes your way. There's one of the things I learned last year, that you always have to strive to be a luxury photographer and not a freelance photographer. So a luxury photographer is one that is always often looked for, not because they are known, but because of their work. A freelance photographer will always be looking for all the time, like looking for money, like to keep their upkeep going and stuff. So they'll pick any job just to keep them going, but because they've not defined themselves properly. If I told you I used to shoot baby bums and clubs, would you agree? And weddings at some point?
No, because of how you speak.
Nobody. Yes. So you need to put yourself in a manner that, oh, if you want photography done for conservation, just look for Tony. But the unfortunate part is that when people start saying my name, they're saying I'm expensive. And I'm like, no, I'm not expensive. I'm actually affordable. You're not just asked. And that's the fear again of really being well branded. That is how people perceive you. And those are things that you need to manage at all particular time of your journey in terms of business. I love my passion so much. Trust me, I can shoot for free. But when you remember at home, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your food, you have to calculate how much do I need a month? And then how much do I need to charge? And how can that sustain me today and tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not just going to be one person for the rest of my life. I'm going to start a family. I'm going to want to build a house and stuff. So I need to organize that. And I need to
Yeah.
cost for that. Yeah. So you need to look at it from a business perspective, and then now you thrive. I know there are photographers who have seen do really well in terms of their business. I won't mention names, but there are Kenyan photographers who do really well. But you learn from them. You put yourself out there. Yeah, I know. This is a very critical topic, and I know it's something. Okay, so I want to go into photography, but then how do I learn? Equipment is expensive. Yes, it is expensive. And especially for underwater, even makes it even more complicated. But there are things
Yeah.
you can use to build a portfolio. The first film we made for underwater, we used a GoPro. And then now from the GoPro, is only like, okay, we can actually do this much more bigger. So we went now to a bigger camera, a bigger housing. But you have to start somewhere and don't stop creating. Yeah. I should say that to myself because I just started a YouTube channel and I'm like, oh my God, will I manage to be posting every single month?
I think you have to say or repeat something a lot of times until your brain believes that that's actually something that will work. And people always
Yes.
downplay the importance of talking. That's why I tell people, just talk. Like, sometimes my brother says, don't be a talker all the time, just do stuff sometimes. But then I'm like, sometimes I could do it once and never do it again. And other times I could talk and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do, guys. This is what I want to do, guys. Like, this is where I'm going, guys. And then one day I will be so convinced because I've said it so many times that my brain is like, why are we not doing it actually? And then I'll wake up and I'm like, actually, we are doing it. So I think it's a double-edged sword. But you know what? I
Yes.
like that you said it here. So if you don't post, people that actually like your content will start dragging you on different platforms because that's what they do. So, well, lucky for you,
I
you
know.
have accountability. And lucky for you is even if you're going through something, no one cares.
Yeah, yeah. So you and then and I'll talk about some bit of mental health when it comes to creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you have to have a circle that you can work with, people that you can reach out to. It might not necessarily be family, but it can be those individuals that they might not even be able to pay or give you money, but they're just there to just listen to your, lack of a better word, bullshit or whatever you want to say. But they'll be there to just listen. And they'll make fun at you. And they'll totally make fun at you. But when you're in that particular moment, you're like, do you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy that we actually had this conversation because I am now able to think my actions and do things differently. Sharing is actually a better way of healing. I know creatives, I know there are other creatives who will lock themselves up, but please just reach out to another creative. Talk. Probably you're going through the same thing, and you guys can laugh about it. Drink some water around it, and you'll be fine. And just look for solutions. So talking about it really helps to just make sure things work. Yeah.
When you said drink some water, I thought of what Uhuru said about Raila when he went for the
For
burial thing.
yeah,
Walisema walikuwa wanakunywanga nini? Uji na chai.
I don't think I even watched the burial thing. I think I wasn't. I don't know where I was.
Were
Yeah,
you underwater? Because that's the only valid explanation.
I don't know where I was. I'm trying to figure out where I was when that time was happening.
That was a big event in history.
I don't know where. I probably was in Cameroon or somewhere. I don't remember where I was, but I was not in the country.
Okay,
I
fair
was not
enough.
in the country.
I'll give you
Yeah,
that
I was
because
not
I
in the
don't think
country.
there's anyone at that time who didn't know that was the biggest thing happening.
No, it was the biggest thing. I could see it from the news.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there to like experience it firsthand. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm a little bit curious about underwater stuff, right? And I think a lot more people, once they start checking your workout, they'll be as curious as I am. And I think the first question I have would be like, how did you just wake up? Like, how? And just say, okay, today this is what I want to do. Because no, let's be serious. You see, you're laughing and it sounds I can convince myself to do many
Okay.
things. But my thought process to say I want to dive, and then not just diving, but then I want to dive for long enough that I swim with sharks. I can't even watch that geo stuff that involves sharks. I'm that scared.
I hear you.
So how did you convince yourself? Because that's serious level of wow.
Okay. I think I need to take you for you to actually be able to experience this one day. One day. But I'll tell you how it all started. I started swimming at a younger age. So and I swam for my school team in campus. So swimming was part of me. So one day, my first time in Coast, I think I was 22. I was in my uh, third year wildlife management program in Moi. And we got a chance to go to Kisite Mpungute. It was the first time I was ever there. And among the class, there were only like 3 people who will actually be able to swim properly. So do you know what? I joined the team that can actually swim. So we went, and because I was in the ocean, there was a lot of water. I felt at home. So I went down, like I dived down underwater. And at that time I was a bit lighter, and my lungs were still very functional. Right now, they kind of struggle. But when I went down, I saw these beautiful, massive rocks of colors. I didn't know they were actually corals. And then on the side, there were stripes of black and white fishes with yellow, with like they're just beautiful. This blue beautiful that you want to just see on your wallpaper on your screen nonstop. And that is how I fell in love with the ocean for the first time. But then later I found myself working in landscapes, ecosystems, working in forests, savannas, water ecosystems, rivers, and the rest. But when I switched and picked up a camera, I was like, I have to go back to that ecosystem and not only just enjoy it for me as a person, but take pictures and share it with other people, see how beautiful it is and how the creatures are down there. And I have to attribute that this journey has not been like me just waking up in the morning and going to a dive center. I volunteered as a reef ranger for Revolution for a couple of times. And that is where I managed to do my open water. And when I was doing my open water, I'll support them with my photography skill. Again, trading, looking at it from a business perspective. What are you gaining? What are you going to get? What are your intentions? What are your goals? Go back to your vision dream board and draw it again. And those are the parameters that guide me until today. So I did open water. And then after the open water, I did a short film using a GoPro. And the film is called Matumba, which is basically corals, narrated by a young girl from Wasini Island, whose father is a reef ranger. And that kept on inspiring me to creating more. If I told you I actually bought my underwater housing before the camera itself, that was actually a game to be played because I wanted to get more training with youth in South Africa. So I called up, it's called Noel. And I was like, you know what? Right now, you can't deny me to come and do the training on underwater because I already have the underwater housing, unless you just don't want to add me to the program. So I also played tricks to get what I want. So I bought the underwater. Actually bought the housing before the camera
Mm-hmm.
because the housing was so expensive, and I had to wait for 3 months to get the camera. So in between the 3 months, I can remember we had a camera locally, and we couldn't tell this person that we are going to use this camera underwater because that person would have not given us that camera
I wouldn't
because we had no
too.
skill.
What do
We were
you
not.
mean you're taking my camera underwater?
But thanks to YouTube, YouTube made a very, 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 very allowed us to go to learn how to put the camera in. We had the manual. We just played around with the manual, and yes, and we took it underwater for the first time, and images just came through. And shooting underwater is a different world. Uh, it's beautiful, but it's a different world. It's annoying, but it's fun. I can remember one of the instances I went underwater and I didn't connect my strobe lights to the camera. So I was shooting, but I was like, why are the lights work? And you're underwater already, so you can't go up.
Mm.
You have to stay there. So I just enjoyed the view. And I can remember every single day I went back to the center. I was so frustrated because I didn't have up in images. So this creating of images became a push for me underwater, and I kept on pushing and pushing. And that is a process that I really appreciate that we need to continuously do. That it's a process. The number of other younger people, Africans coming in with underwater stuff, I'm so impressed and happy that I'm not just the only one who's dreaming. There are people dreaming together with me. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like that. I feel like I've said that so many times in this episode, which is very normal. But I like that. That people, like, I'm not the only one that's dreaming. There's people that are dreaming just like me.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope one of my kids decides that's what they want to do. That would be very cool for me. I would have nailed it in terms of having a multifaceted life where my kids are also very unconventional like me and they go to the farthest edge of the world to prove it.
You never know. The tongue is a very powerful part of the body. You never know.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
now we're going to really back into 2025. And my question would be, what pressures did 2025 put on you personally, and how did they shape or motivate your work?
2025. 2025 was a beautiful year.
Beautiful.
For me, it was a beautiful year because I got to travel to places I've never been before. But it came with a lot of pressure. 2025 was a beautiful year for me. I love to say that because I made a mini vision dream board. So I have a bigger vision dream board, and then I have a mini vision dream board that I do every September. So I break it down into small pieces that I'm able to achieve. But interestingly, by April of 2025, I'd achieved almost all of them and got rejected in some. So I was like, that's a good one. At least I tried. So this is a bit personal, but I was trying not to bring it on this, but yeah, let me see if I can manage it. So I have a daughter, and my daughter is 8, and I don't get time to spend time with her as I want to. But one of the beautiful things that I appreciate is that that 25 allowed me to do is to see the beauty of what I do through her. Because she's driven by the work that I do. Like she has her own camera. She swims. She can spot snakes faster than I can do. So when
Mm.
I spend time with her, the little time that I have, it really, really motivates me to keep doing what I do, because I have family that looks at it from a different perspective. And when you see a younger person uh, doing doing what you do, and appreciating it, it's really interesting. Like last year when we did a trip to Walpejeta Conservancy, and she was so fast to remove her camera even before I could remove mine.
Oh, that's so cute.
And I was like, okay, can you just calm down a little bit fast because you're putting pressure on me? And yeah, she's an artist, and that's what we came to realize, that she's actually an artist. We just need to figure out how to nurture it, uh, and to blend it with the again the privilege as a father that I have
Mm-hmm.
to provide that. So all of us have privileges, whether it's a guardian, a parent, we all have privileges that we need to lean on. And I think for me that it was so difficult last year because I didn't have like enough opportunity to spend time with her.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did, for those, I think last year I saw like for 5, not more than 3 weeks. But the days I did see her, it just renewed my purpose and love for what I do. And this is really a very personal bit of my life that I don't really talk about. But yeah, it's what drives me. And that's why when you ask me about if it was difficult, I look at those other things like they will come and go. They're not necessarily problems. They're actually opportunities for me to look at from a different perspective. So I don't look at troubles that happen in society as issues. I look at them as opportunities. Okay, it's lockdown. What do? We can do something. We can do editing. We can go to our images. We can sell them. Like there's always a solution. But there are those that they're so personal that you have to work through by just being there. Yeah. I don't know if I've answered your question, but I think I have. Yeah.
Oh no, you have. You definitely have. And I think I'd want to add this and say that I believe that being a parent is one of the greatest gifts a person could ever get. And I think being a parent has been labeled in a certain way that there's certain things you're supposed to do to be a good parent. But I usually say ultimately these people that live in families where your parents are present but you're not connected to them. But
So
well, maybe if you go and think about it from another perspective, I guess maybe from me, my take would be you probably put in a lot more than you think you do. Because I say presence is always important, yes. But then when I'm with someone, how does the person make me feel? I can carry that for longer rather than being around a person all the time and they don't make me feel anything. And the fact that there's an embodiment of what you do in her is so
mhm,
important because it means there's something you're doing right. Because if I don't like a person, I don't pick up what they like. Matter of fact, I would detest everything they do. They could be doing some things right. But if I don't like a person and they're a doctor and I was thinking of being a doctor, I'll say I don't want to be a doctor, you know? So I think when it comes to that regard, you're probably doing a lot more than you probably give yourself credit for. But
we
yeah,
try.
funny enough, we are getting to the end. Okay, before we get to the end, there's a segment here 2026 Vision 2030 SDG. I don't know why I get that wrong every time. 2030 and beyond. The question that I have here is what does 2026 represent for you? And he put it in italics, not just in terms of goals, but in terms of growth. What kind of person do you want to become moving forward? Not just what you want to achieve. Wow, that's a good question.
And you can remember when I talked about the legacy, and that's
Yeah.
where it comes from. That's where it comes from. That what is the kind of person I want to become? And that is always the thing. the person who supports or inspires other people into appreciating what conservation is, and giving access to younger people to go to national parks. So through the foundation, to Noel Foundation, which has a team of 8 people, that is the work we do on we plan for that kind of work. And my legacy is to inspire people into conservation. And that is something that I've always wanted to do. So even in 2026, 2027, moving forward, my legacy remains the same. That is all I want to always achieve. In terms, because I have very many different layers of my life, in terms of the work that I do as a filmmaker or a photographer, is just to be able to create images that will make as many people as possible just stop and say like, wow, we need to do something for conservation. We need to do something for the environment that we do. And one of my dreams is to do like a mega exhibition of oceans in the city in Nairobi CBD, hopefully one day. 26 was the plan, but depending on how things go, and you can imagine just a big image of a whale shark within the area of archives, and people can just see and dive into this beauty of what the ocean has. It's just to bring nature closer to people, and just show them that it's actually there. As much as we are in the busy burst of the city, 8 to 5, we need to step back and just breathe and just see nature from itself. And it's not just about the ocean; it's about the birds, uh, the the insects, the mosquitoes. I know people will argue with mosquito wildlife, but mosquitoes actually wildlife.
Someone said, I think that's one of the most insignificant creations God made because why is it there?
Yeah, but you see, it plays a key important. If I told you there's an image of a mosquito that won the wildlife photographer of the year in one of the years, nobody will agree, but it's actually there. So insects also play a very key important role in the ecosystem, and that fits into the bigger vision of the society, the communities that we are part of. Yeah, so I think if I pull out my old dream board, you'd be like, oh my God. But the thing is, the simple one is just to maintain the fact that this is something that I do on a day-to-day basis. It makes me happy. It makes me peaceful. That nothing comes fulfilling that it even helps me pays my day-to-day lifestyle. So it's really achievable. And I think even in 2026, it's just a matter of improving and learning from my lessons. And the best part of it is failing in the process and learning from those failures, and just growing and trying out new things. So there's a myriad of so many things that I can actually share with that. I know I've talked about this legacy thing, and I want to just like read it out to you. I'm just gonna see if I can find it. Like how I wrote it in 2019. That was 2012. Sorry, 2012. And the way I wrote it in 2012, and I just read it for you. I've just pulled it out. Is there's a quote that I go with, and I say, "Life is a journey, and we'll have potholes and bumps, but you have to be able to accelerate depending on what is ahead of you. And you will go through it without noticing them and enjoy your ride of life. It's just like driving a vehicle. When you go closer to a bump, you slow down, you accelerate slowly. But if you go in a rush, you either break something or get in an accident. So sometimes life, you just go to the pace of what you're able to accelerate at that particular life. There's always that particular part. And my legacy in that particular time, and you can remember this was 2012, it's still as raw as it is. And that was my dream board. Um, in 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 my legacy, and I think probably the best part of my life is I wish to impart knowledge on conservation education, be a motivational speaker on matters pertaining to how to be successful in life. I think I'm not yet there yet, but I am trying. Assist children to go for safaris, which is best known for white people, be a loving dad, caring dad to my kids' family. And that was my legacy in 2012. And that has kept me going. So vision dream boards are a win if you do that.
I think they work. The chances of them not working and working, the working is higher than the not working,
Yeah.
actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we wrap up this segment, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self about self identity, belonging, and navigating life, what would it be?
I think it's just one thing I'll probably say is just don't be afraid to look at yourself in the mirror, see the version you are at that particular point. Because with the proper plan and self discipline and some effort and good effort, you'll come back to that mirror and you'll see a totally different version of yourself. So believe in your dreams, believe in your passions, but also find a way to navigate through what society has to offer and never be afraid to fail and make mistakes. It's part and parcel of living your life.
Period. This has been such a serious episode, and I love it because I'm such a serious person. But yeah, let's do a cool down.
Okay.
Quick answers, first thing that comes to mind. Okay.
Okay.
Our famous first question actually is, what's one unnecessary thing we say, do, or see that shouldn't exist from a conservation perspective?
I think for me as a society, don't just litter everywhere. Just litter in the right place. That's
Thank you.
I know it's as simple as that, but just put it, just put litter in the right place. That's it. Like just let the ecosystem be as clean as the way you leave your house to be clean. Yeah, that's it.
You know how people say sincerely management?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to end that. I have such strong feelings for people who litter. They disgust me, especially when I see you in
Yeah.
public transport and then you stretch your hand to open the window where I'm sitting by the window to just throw trash. I always turn around and look at them. Like, I make sure you see me. Like, you must look at me because what are you doing? You used so much effort to throw litter outside. Like, you could literally just drop it in the car or leave it there. But nope, you had to. The next question is, what's something small that instantly puts you in a better mood?
The food in a better mood. Hey, a cup of porridge, man. Sakumi. Hey. I know that one is funny, but yes. Uh, that warms my heart. A cup of porridge. Exactly it's almost like 50 minutes to that time. Yes. Warms my heart. Like that just makes me happy. I know. I'm weird. That's me.
So you take this porridge at what time?
Yeah. That's 16, 1600 latest. Latest five.
Kwa hiyo you moved from chai ya saa kumi to uji ya saa kumi.
Yeah. Trust me. If kama unataka kunitega, nitege na hiyo uji ya saa kumi. Nitakuja.
Guy,
And then you make it with some good, nice lemon. Complete. The sour. Anyway, I blame it to my mom. So you'll forgive me for that.
but you know what, fair enough actually. When I go to my grandma's, that's one of the things I ask for first. Mko na unga ya uji? Yeah. So I hear it. I just didn't expect you to say that, to be quite honest.
What did you expect me
I
to
don't
say?
know. I don't know. But that was not part of the bingo card. And I'm pretty sure even the person who wrote this script was not expecting you to say porridge.
Wow. No, it just calms me down. Like, yeah. Oh.
I feel like you're already in that space.
And I think it's the best thing I think realizing who I am and what I do is the best thing I ever give myself. Yeah.
But yeah. But you know what? The porridge you're actually talking about really slaps. Like, it's really good. Like, if someone makes it really well, I could get behind drinking it every morning. I'm not going to lie. I was just not expecting you to say porridge. But I like that you have something to put you in a better mood at 5 or 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Last question is, what's one habit or mindset you're trying to leave behind?
You know, it can be weird me saying that sometimes I don't believe in myself.
Huh?
Yeah.
You jump
I
in the
think
ocean and you don't believe in yourself.
it's normal.
With where?
I think
With
that is.
who?
Sometimes you don't believe in yourself. You're like, okay, can I really do this? Can this really work? Am I doing the right thing?
Okay,
I
if you're
think that
thinking
those are
about
the.
it from the context of relationship because you said you're afraid of it, that's fine. But in general, in life, I think I'd have so much balls if I can jump in the ocean. You could not tell me nothing. I'd just be like, I'm better than you. I'd have so much pride. Oh God.
Yeah, I think it's more of, you see, like you found me at this particular time. I think I just need to put myself out there. I'm the kind of person who likes being chini ya maji, technically, underwater. I like doing my things in
Literally and
silence.
figuratively.
Yeah, yeah, I just want to be chini ya maji. Like I just want, but I'm trying to, because I noticed that I won't inspire more people if I continuously be doing stuff without putting them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's it's something I'm trying to work on, like put myself out there, put my work out there, so that people can actually see, not people who already know me, but other new people. And that is why this podcast was, I agreed to it, because for me this year was to put myself out there so that I can inspire other more people. So I can make oceans nature accessible, that it's for all of us. Yeah.
To be fair, I'm
Ooh.
speaking like this, but I don't believe in myself like that. So I'm not going to blame you because I think you're going to listen to it. The first episode that I do, which comes out tomorrow,
Yeah.
it's one where I talk about the fact that I struggle heavily with identifying with success
Yes.
and just telling people that this is what I've done. Like in my mind, I'm like, why should I be telling you? Like, I've already done it. Like, let's move on. I don't know. I envy people that can toot their own horn, and I envy people that carry their work with so much pride that you cannot miss them because they talk about it all the time and they feel no shame talking about it. And they believe in themselves that much that they're so convinced you have to know who I am and why I am the way I am. I love that so much. And I think a lot more people should be, I don't know if it's allowed, but should allow themselves the permission to just exist, but
Uh-huh.
exist within the boundaries that you want. Because I know there's certain things I don't like doing. And I had to accept within myself that maybe something like vlogs, what I eat, what I do with people, like that's not me. I know you guys don't care about my coffee, so why should I show you? But for some people, that's what they like. And I will watch vlogs that people do because I usually push my friend to make vlogs. I even told her, please come back to YouTube. I miss watching vlogs. I like watching people do that, but I don't think I'll ever do it. I may have a great personality. I may be authentic. I may be funny, but it's just not me. So I'm not going to do it. But now I have to stick to what I know I can do and put myself out there. So I guess we have the same mission, be more visible. Yeah. Anyway, what have
Yeah.
you been jamming to? What's the song of the week? Did you have something to add? Sorry.
No, I'm good. The song of the week.
Yeah. What have
Gosh,
you been listening to?
I listen to everything. I'm that kind of person. But I'll talk about I'll talk about this song.
What platform do you use?
I use Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah. So I use mostly Spotify. I'm more of like a music collector. So I'm always collecting new music, every single country I go to, place I go to. So I'm always not like just sticking to one. But I think there's this one song that I listened to today in the morning, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is art. And this is by how do you, is it Bosso? Darasha La Saba. And that song, if you look at the video of it, it's so artistic to what happened in Tanzania, but it's been done in a more musical way that you have to think deeper as a poet to really understand what exactly message is actually passing through. And that's how beautiful art is. Like I appreciate artists who go an extra mile to just tell society stories through music or through their art that you have to think about to really understand. If you've watched it, it's a nice video. If you watch it, it's really beautiful. It shows like this young man uh, was in love uh, with a lady when they were young, but the scene starts. at the moment when they're released out of prison. So you can remember when Tanzanians were being taken to prison, younger people. So now he's out and he's explaining why exactly did he end up in the prison. Uh, to be accused of killing the person that they love most. It's a very nice thing. And like music is beautiful. I just have to say I look at music from a different perspective. Yeah. Not just from the rhythms and the lyrics. Yeah.
That's what every creative would say, and I love that.
Yeah.
My song of the week is, well, I have a couple. I think the one that I liked the most out of maybe the ones that I recycle is it's called I Wish I Didn't Waste Your Time by Thundercat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't
Oh,
digested, like fully immersed myself into it because I think it's quite new, but I really, really like it. And I think
nice.
another song that I really liked, who I found recently, is called by Sampha, and it's called Cumulus, I think. Yeah, it's called Cumulus.
Yeah, then you need to share links. I can listen to them.
Do you know I'm such a big hoarder of music?
Why?
I don't know. I feel like you're staring into my soul.
Like I want to listen to what you're listening to.
You see, that's the thing. If you listen to what I'm listening to in my mind, I feel like we are merged for life.
Right.
Like we are bonded.
Anyway, I understand. Me, I share my music playlist. Like I'm like, just let's vibe on it and to listen to what you've been listening to. So if I meet anyone with Spotify, we share and I get a collection of their music. I think it's because I travel so much and I just want to entertain myself in those countries
Mm-hmm.
and just to get to not just be like a visitor, but be part of them.
Yeah.
Is usually through music. Music and food plays a key important role. Yeah.
Maybe I should consider sharing more songs this year because I have very limited songs and Spotify is doing a horrible job at recommending artists to me these days. So,
Yeah. Spotify is becoming something else. Anyway.
right? Like they need to do better. Please, we give them a lot of money for them to be producing what they're producing.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, as we are ending this, thank you so much for agreeing to be on this podcast. I've learned a lot actually. I came into this with a very free mind. Well, I had watched a couple of your videos and I go through your Instagram, but I still had an open mind to find out why exactly you do what you do and the mindset that you have behind the work that
Uh-huh.
you do and what impact you're trying to get in the end. And I was so I was so happy about it when you said, "Oh yeah, cool, we can do it." I was so happy about it that I could not wait to tell my scriptwriter, who's like I said is as a person in environmental conservation, and he was very happy to actually write your script, which he did justice. So I'm not gonna lie because this episode is really good. So what I'd say is I hope you continue doing what you're doing and continue being an example to I think younger kids that are actually coming up or people that actually aspire to be in the line of work that you're doing and showing them that it's actually quite possible to stand in the gaps that you think and feel exist and that not all of them have to fit and conform to a specific thing or a specific lifestyle, you know. Yeah. So, to my listeners, to my lovely listeners who got to this end, thank you for tuning into the ITRA podcast. If you're listening as a climate activist, aware of nature or wildlife, or just a concerned member of society, if today's episode resonated with you, drop a comment below and let us know what you choose to carry from this conversation and where you are listening from, as always. And if you're listening and still asking questions, trust that curiosity is already doing some of the work for you. To Anthony, where do you want to be found?
You can find me on Instagram with Anthony Ochieng Onyango or on my website, www.anthonyochieng.com. So you'll find me there. Yeah.
We actually didn't speak about your organization. We'll do that next time. Like we haven't
Yeah,
even
no,
touched on it.
if my organization are supposed to come here, I think my other team members have to come in that way.
Fact,
Yeah.
that's actually a bigger goal. You know what? I will
Yeah.
pin that.
Yeah.
I will. I'm not joking.
They
I will pin that, and you guys will all be on camera now because you've
they
thought about a big vision. Then let's take it further.
Yeah, it's because we, sorry to take you back, but it's because we are really trying to show people that we do more than just what Tony does. And now the team members are the ones who are coming in to show the work that we do. Yeah.
That this speaks of legacy.
Yes. And if you don't have a vision dream board, you can't really figure it out. Write it down and just vision it and see it grow.
Anyways, guys, if you want to stay connected with a community that is growing, healing, and leading with intention, make sure you follow the podcast, share this episode, re-listen to it when and if you must, not even if, when you must, and join us on Instagram. And thank you so much, Anthony, for being honest, being vulnerable, and just dropping lovely gems for all of us. I am so grateful for your honesty and the contribution you bring to the world. I think of Africa as like such a beautiful place, and that there's several people that make it a lot more beautiful by just the service that they give the environment, and that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Until next time. Sorry, you're so welcome. You see, I need to learn how to own things.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, until next time, Travis, stay curious, stay intentional. Don't just see the world, notice it, and choose growth. Bye.